Hello guys and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So if you haven't seen it yet, the GM notes have the Black Desert quick tips, and I'm going to go over all of them right now to see if they're actually going to be beneficial, for me, and hopefully it would be for you. So first one is changing server real quick. So you could click on the top right and it would show you the server list, and then you could hop on to any of the servers that you would want. This really saves you the hassle of going to the menu and opening up the server list in order for you to change. The next one is learning all the skill levels at once. So if you see this dots over here, it corresponds to 3 skill levels. So you could do is hold shift L and B and it would learn everything for you. So that really works for like this one, and especially for those that are kind of like this one that has like a lot of items that you need to learn. You could just shift L and B if you have enough skill points for it. Now, if you are a person that uses the minimap a lot, then you could adjust the minimap and make it a larger map. And you could also toggle it from 3D to 2D if you want to kind of like find like, specific people that are moving around or some marked mobs when you're grinding. Now, the next one is if you would want it to be kind of like more cinematic in a way with borders from top and bottom. And that is by going to the setting and searching for crop mode. Now, once you enable this one, you could adjust the display width and height. You could adjust the borders from the left and right and top and bottom. And this is normally the setting that I use when I kind of like want to make it kind of like an ultra wide-ish setup. So you would see like the gray border at the top, gray border at the bottom. Now, the benefit of this one though is if you go to the UI and then kind of like put one of your quick slots at the top, or like change it over here at the gray area, then what would happen is that like they would stay there. So if you want to see your skill much clearer, then definitely this is one thing you could go for. Or if you want your buffs to display at the gray area like this one, this is one thing that you could go for too. The BDO world is very vast and big, as you can see, and there's some areas that you would want to remember. So for example, you have discovered a node that has truffle mushrooms, then definitely you would want to save it, right? So you could right click on a spot, set favorite, and then you could type in here truffle. So for example, that's what you're going for, and then you would have this one. So the next time that you go to the magnifying glass beside your minimap, you could just navigate to it by clicking on locate, and that would, give you that path, and you could just press T and you are on your way as long as you don't get stuck. So the next one is about hotkeys, and on the guide, it says that if you see this little arrow on top of the icon, you could press Alt L and B and it would open up this one, quick hotkey settings. You could press to set this one, and for example, for me, the camping tool, I have it as Alt T to install and Alt Y to remote collect it. And the good thing about this one is that it indicates on white font if it's free, so you could not override the current setting, and you could also review the ones that are over here for your benefit. And another thing too is like you could also go to the setting, go to the interface setting, and then you would see here the other hotkeys that you could edit. The next one is the skill quick slot. Now, there are some skills that you would want to quick slot, like spammable skills, like for example, with the Ranger Descending Current, I put it at 4 so that I have a natural movement of my finger, holding down the W and then just pressing 4. Now, it is up to you if you would want to quick slot some skills, but the way for you to identify it is by looking at the skills, and if it has a golden border, it means that you could quick slot it. Now, one of the things that was said in the guide is you could drag and drop it. Somehow over here it doesn't work for me, so probably I'm missing something. But again, like it's really up to you when you want to use this one, but it's a neat thing to know. So the next one needs to be on the map, and this is very helpful if you would want to train some horses. Now you could hold on Alt and right click so you could plot out the path where you would want to go. Now you could also set a loop by clicking on set loop. It will just go to point A to point B, or if you want to make it a circle, you just click back on your character and it would be the loop. And you could just like press T after that one and you're good. It would just like go on and on and on up until, like, for example, you ran out of carrots for your horse, or you come back and, break that loop. One thing that irritated me the most back then when I was starting was when I get hit. All of my menu, my maids and all are getting hidden when I get hit. So the way that you would end that is by hitting escape, setting, go to general setting and miscellaneous. And under the miscellaneous, you would see over here, the close window UI when hit. So when you disable this one, even if you're hit, your menus are still gonna stay open and you would be able to, do your thing, transfer items and all without being worried of closing. Because it's really irritating when you're transferring to your maid when you're overburdened and then the menu closes because of a simple hit. The next one is on the guide, and I'm adding 2 of my personal ones for this. The first one is the connect node directly, which is on the bottom left side of the map. If you click on this one, you will see that there's a connect node. All you have to do is click on the endpoint and then click on the starting point, which is a city. So you would see the energy that is needed, the required CP, and it would connect all of these ones. Now, if there are investment nodes in this one, you could click on that one so that it would be connected to. And once you connect the node, it would turn green and you are connected from that point to that endpoint. Now, for example, you always go to the bosses, but you dread dragging again and again. So what you can do is go to that area, focus it, and then click on, press Alt and then a number key. So for example, I'm pressing Alt 3. And then for example, I go to Karanda and then I set it as Alt 2. And then for example, I also go to Offentet. I could click on Alt 1. So I could shuffle from 3, 2, and 1 easily. Now, the other thing is that if you click on the city and you would want to know how many workers you have, you could just go to the city by clicking on that one. And you would see here that I have 3 workers, but I have 4 lodging, so I could do 1 more. And then you could also go to another city, do that again. And you would see here that I'm already full, so I might need to buy some lodging and also in order to expand to it. This is very useful when you're trying to expand your worker empire and also trying to find out if you have enough lodging or not. The next one is a recent change that they did that I'm very thankful they did, is the find my item. So you could just go and find my item, type that over there, and you could click on this one. So for example, you would want to know all of the locations for your petals. So you would hear that you have your Lila's petals, and you could just go to them and transfer it so that you would have it in one location. You can exchange it, or for example, you're trying to find out if you have spare crons lying around, and you could just type in cron stones, and you will see here how much cron stones you have per character that you pick up from the boss or some of the events. So this is very helpful if you've lost your item or trying to consolidate. The next one is Black Spirit Rage. Now, there are some classes that have a lot of Black Spirit Rage attacks that they do not want to trigger. For example, if you would want to always have 100% that you could use to consume it and get some bonus, but some of the players think that it messes up their combos. So you could lock it by clicking on these ones and locking it. Or if you don't want to use your Black Spirit Rage at all and just want to use it for your Z's, then you could press on Alt B and it would lock the Black Spirit Rage. Now, the next one is the library of BDO. Now, they recommend going to the L window and opening up crafting notes there, but I recommend clicking on F1. It would open up the adventure board that a lot of people can use if you're not aware of some of the items. And the crafting note is over here on the right side that opens up this, node, fishing, alchemy, cooking. So some recipes that you could build up for BDO, but what I recommend for this one is like if you're new, kind of like, read some of these ones, you can get some tidbits of knowledge that would be helpful for you. So now we're in the third part of their guide, and the next one is like if you would want to make specific quests show up. So you could press O and you will see here the quest type. So you could select it by a combat, life, fishing, exploration and trade, and others like the dailies and recurring quests. But as a default, you should select quest type all so that you could see all of them. And once you're able to distinguish what you want, then that's the only time you should do this like single selection, because a lot of new players kind of like miss out on them, as the combat is normally the only one that is available along with the daily and recurring. So just make sure you have it at all. You'll see all of the quests and then later on filter it out. The travel horse is one of the recent additions to BDO, and the way for you to identify if a stable keeper will allow you to rent one is by looking for this icon. It's like a paw, like a horse head on the palm. So that's it. If you talk to this like stable keeper, the travel horse awaits. That is your indication that you could rent out a horse for this one, and it would just be available for you to ride on. And a good thing about this one is it has instant Accel. So if you would want to practice that one, definitely try this one, as the drift and shift is the fastest way for you to get to one location to another. Now, the next one is trying to find a specific residence or workshop in a city. So, for example, you would want to find a safe asset investing bank. You could type in bank, or if you would want to find a refinery, like as indicated in one of their guides, you can click that one too. Now, one thing I noticed is that this is case sensitive. So if I type in refinery with an R, it would not show. So make sure that you have your first letter as caps, then you would be able to find the place that you would need. The next one is the mobility tip. So when you are walking around or running, and if you move your mouse left and right, your characters follow with it. But if you would want to kind of enjoy the scenery while you're autopathing and all, you could hold down the middle mouse button and you would be able to look around. So this is also helpful when grinding and you're trying to kind of find your next mob location. And it takes practice if you're using it in PvE, but definitely useful for browsing around, especially when you're running with your horse. The next one is for the chat. So I'm going to add one thing to here too. So you could check on the timestamp for your chat, so it would show when you talked about it, or when did your guildmate message you regarding something. Now, one thing to remember to hear that if you press enter and then you press Alt 3, you would see that there's a family indicator over here. So one time I was chatting and I saw some new people, only to find out that my chat defaulted back to character. So it is up to you, if you would want to kind of have one mainstay name for a person, then go ahead with family. If you choose character, it would show their character name, you might get confused. So the last tip, which is my favorite, and it applies to horses that has reminder, instant Accel, and also drift. So the only way to use that one is by having these two skills. So what you would do is go to your setting, interface, action hotkeys, division WW, set it to a mouse function that is on the left side of your mouse. Now, this would eliminate the need of pressing the Shift WF and then drifting. And then what you would do is like ASW, ASW, ASW. If you're comfortable with that, that's fine. But what would happen is like if you hold down the mouse function, all you need to press is AS. So hold on F, you would see that it would be much faster. And it's more relaxing to do than like, pressing W. Sometimes I miss out on that one and I press 2. So this one really helps like player that doesn't want to bother with pressing 3 keys and reducing it to pressing just A and S. So guys, that is it for this video. Hopefully this has helped you out, these small tips, and hopefully it will improve your lives in video, in the miserable life of video enhancing too. So thank you guys. If you find this content helpful, please do consider liking and subscribing to support the channel. And as always, have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.